Hello, Austin County. Today I am here with Eunice Adejo and Marcia Bluitt of the Department of Family and Protective Services to talk about preventing elder and child abuse. Ladies, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
It's a very important issue that really needs to be discussed. But before we begin, I want to remind everyone to like, subscribe, and share on our YouTube channel so we continue to get the word out on all the important things happening in Austin County. All right, so now for the good stuff. And I'm going to warn everybody, we've been having a good time this morning, so we may get to laughing, so just bear with us. Basically, I'm going to let you guys decide who's going to go first. Give me an overview of your role. I know one does adult and one does child. So I guess maybe we'll be respectful and go with the elders first. How's that?
Thank you. So we pretty much do the same thing. We're with the faith-based and community engagement department, but we work in separate branches. So she does CPS, I do the APS. So we go out, talk to community members about adult protective services, what APS can do for folks, and also let people be aware of the issues that some elders are facing. So one of the big things here in the Houston region is financial exploitation. We've had quite a few cases over the years where big amounts of money are being taken, and sadly it's mostly a family member taking the money from the seniors. So now we have a specialized unit that investigates those cases. That's all they investigate. So that's what we try to do, get the word out. We try to put on educational programs for seniors, mostly seniors, so that they're aware, and also people that work with seniors so they know what to look out for.
Okay, now what is considered a senior? Because I know like some say 55, some say 65.
So for APS, it's anybody that is 65 years or older, or if they're under 65, they have to have a severe impairment, maybe like severe autism, maybe they have cerebral palsy. They just aren't able to take care of their daily needs. So that's usually who APS will investigate and take on as clients.
Okay. All right, so tell us about CPS.
So with CPS, I'm also with the Faith-Based and Community Engagement Department of CPS. Well, we are the bridge builders between the community and the caseworkers. We go out and we get resources for families and children in care. So that's anything from beds to diapers to wipes to if they need to go to counseling or if they have to have parenting classes. We go out into the community and we gather those resources for those kiddos and those families who have come into CPS care through open case or investigation. We also do presentations with how to spot abuse and neglect, and we also do drives. We recently had our Rainbow Room rally where a group of local motorcycles got together and did a run from one area to our local office to drop off gifts and things like that. So we do things of that sort. We host resource fairs for families and for caseworkers. Then we also get together with our Rainbow Room to host different events for like our Easter basket drives, and we have school supplies, of course, coming up recently. So we do school supply drives where we'll give backpacks to those kiddos and things in care. And we just work very closely with our caseworkers to make sure they have all the resources that they need to make sure that children are secure and that the families can maintain that unit.
Okay, and how old is considered a child?
Starting at age 0 up to age 17.
Oh, 17, not 18?
Not 18, it's 17.
Okay.
But there is an option, which we'll get into later, with our PALS kiddos where they are identified at age 14, and then they can go all the way up until age, I do believe it's 24, where they can do extended care past 18, where they'll stay in CPS care, they'll stay in child protective care, so they can get additional resources and benefits.
Okay. Because I wondered about, especially like your handicapped kids and stuff like that. A lot of times
once they turn 18 and they unable to take care of themselves, and there are other instances of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, they'll be under APS.
Okay, all right. So there is no time that anybody is left out in the cold.
So even if, let's say they're 18, but they're in high school, so you would think, oh, that's going to be a CPS or a child protective case. It'll actually go to the adult protective services because they are 18, but someone will go out and investigate and check and see what's going on.
Okay. That was kind of one of the things that we were going to talk about so it sounds terrible. I'm sure abuse is across the board pretty much the same, like, neglect. And I guess my thing is, can you tell us what the signs, the most common abuses are, and how do they manifest themselves? What is neglect? You say, well, you didn't get them a Nintendo. That's not neglect, So tell us a little bit about what the abuses are and how you, I guess, define them in the system.
So with neglect is like the willingness not to do.
Okay.
That's how we looked at neglect. Because sometimes people think they're being neglectful and it's a poverty situation. It's like they're not being neglectful. You can only do with what you have.
Right.
So that's when we, again, as FBCE specialists or faith-based and community engagement, we step in and provide those wraparound services so that they are in better and stable situations so that it looks like it's neglect, but it's not. They just don't have the resources. Like if a mom has to choose between buying gas and buying food, she's not being neglectful. She's doing the best that she has.
Okay.
But if you're in a situation where, okay, I'm just not going to feed you, not because we don't have it or we don't have access to it, I'm just not feeding you, that's neglectful. And as far as the different levels of abuse, it's the same across the board, be it medical abuse or physical or emotional. All of them are ranked the same. Like it's all a detriment to the child. And that's when that's when Department of Family and Protective Services step in, and then we can make the call once that allegation has come to us.
Okay, so neglect is basically an unwillingness to care for them, be it an adult or a child.
Correct.
Okay, so like medical abuse, what is that?
So just to give an example of a medical abuse, that's your child has a tooth that is turning black and you have not taken them to the dentist, and it's to the point where it's like pussy. It's like it's starting to affect that child way to eat or be able to talk or be able to speak. It's affecting the child in a negative manner, and you've just flat out refused to go get the services for that child. Okay. That's medical abuse or medical neglect. Or if your child has, sustained a facial injury or a head injury, and you don't take the child in, and the child's going in and out of consciousness, that's medical abuse. That's when the child is at a detriment medically, and then you do not go get that child service.
Okay, so it doesn't actually have anything to do with, like, people would think medicine, like,
right.
I mean, because you can be,
but typically that's not how we look at it, because as a parent, you do have a right, if it's your religious preferences that, I don't want to do these things, that's not necessarily neglectful. Now, if it's to the point where the child is suffering and it's a detriment to the child, that's when we may step in. But again, as parents, you do have rights, and you do have a right to refuse, like, I don't want to give my child Tylenol for X, Y, and Z reasons. We can't step in and say, you have to because they're running a fever. If you can have other holistic ways that you want to handle that, as a parent, that's your right to do so.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess with the older, it would be pretty much the same thing.
It's almost the same. A lot of our cases are self-neglect. So as people are getting older, maybe they don't have as much funds as they used to. So sometimes they're choosing between their medication or eating or paying their rent. So a lot of times they'll neglect either, not on purpose, but they just kind of don't have a choice can they need to take that medication that they need to take twice a day. Sometimes they have to resort to taking it once a day so that it can extend out. Or hoarding cases are also considered self-neglect as well, where of course it's a mental issue, but then it starts coming, they can't take care of their home, it's falling apart. They can't, there's no way for them to take care of it because it's a mental issue.
I was going to say, and I would think too, with the medical neglect, as far as medications, I've heard horror stories about, mom has some really good pain meds. And so, 20-year-old decides, hey, I'd like to take some. And I take them away from grandma, mom, whoever, and take them. And that would be considered abuse. I think, at least to me, I think that would be considered abuse because you're taking away what they need and the neglect and all that stuff. So that's, even if it wouldn't be, I don't know, that's something you would probably still want to see about reporting to somebody, Okay, so warning signs like by age group. I know that, some of your obvious things, like if they're dirtied, or if they, like for kiddos, if they have the snotty noses and the, hair with lice and stuff like that. But what are some, I guess, the more subtle things that people wouldn't notice that would indicate abuse, that you might be like, wait a minute, that's not quite right?
For adults, we usually look, if it's like physical abuse, we're looking for like bruises. Maybe they have just a bruise that showed up on their arm one day and they didn't have it the previous day. But then if a caseworker does go out, they'll ask, okay, what kind of medications are you taking? Because there are some medications that cause bruising. Maybe they've been shoved. Maybe their arm is out of socket. So they have to ask questions. Okay, how did that happen? Or in the instances, I don't know if anybody's ever heard, I haven't heard about here in Texas, but I know in Arizona a couple years back, there's that young lady that was in a coma for most of her life, and then she ended up pregnant. And that ended up being sexual abuse. So that became an APS case out in Arizona. So those kind of instances happen. It's not too often, but the sexual abuse, you're in a coma. How do you end up pregnant? So those are the types of things we'll look at.
Well, I will say palm about that, but
and then like verbal or emotional abuse, like it's been viewed that this person is yelling at grandma, they're cursing her out, they're calling her all kinds of names. It's kind of been viewed that this is the verbal and emotional abuse.
yeah. What about for kids?
So for the kiddos, it's the same. Again, bruises that weren't there originally. Like as school teachers, you were like, oh, you just saw them yesterday and today they come in with the black eye. You might want to inquire, hey, what happened? What's going on? Ask a few questions. Also, if you have a kid that's typically very bubbly, very outgoing, very outspoken, and then you start to see that kid be very introverted and very withdrawn, you might want to ask a few questions like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Those could be some indicators as well, because they're starting to go into themselves, as well as like, I know it's kind of weird because it's a generational thing now, but you see people in the middle of summer with hoodies on.
Right.
You might want to inquire as to why it's 100 and something degrees outside, but you have a hoodie on. Like, those are clothes that you typically wouldn't wear in the summer. Although, some reason teenagers,
Well, yeah.
they will rock
Teenagers, their own.
hoodies year round. But, inquire as to like, hey, why do you have the hoodie on? Like, is everything okay? If you have a kid that's eating out of the trash can during lunch, are you okay? See what the food situation is like, having those questions as well. And it's just kind of knowing the child as well to be like, hey, something's a little off about them. Or if you have a child that's inappropriately playing with another child that's not age appropriate. If you have 2 5-year-olds who's playing house and
Right.
the other child's touching the other child inappropriately, okay, hey, let's talk about where have you seen this or has this happened to you? The good touch, bad touch. Those are some things you want to be on the lookout for to see if it's something that you want to investigate or have investigated further into.
I was just saying, a lot of times the adults know to be quiet and don't say anything, and the children do sometimes, but sometimes you ask them and they will inadvertently tell you the truth. And then other times they're the kind of kids, it's like, where'd you get the bruise? I'm like, oh, so the other day I was running, and, So I guess it's that old thing. You have to kind of know the child or know the adult and know the situation. And okay, now here's the big thing. And a lot of people are afraid these days of lawsuits and doxing and, being called names on Facebook and stuff. It is required, correct? If you suspect abuse, to report it. You can actually get in more trouble for not reporting. Am I correct on that?
So abuse is everyone's business.
Okay.
So if you see something, you're definitely encouraged to say something. Again, teachers, doctors, counselors are all mandated reporters. So they have to, if they see a child being abused, they have to report it either to our 1-800 line, which is the 1-800-252-5400, or you can go online. So the thing about it is we stress everything is, of course, anonymous. So you don't have to worry about, like, we are literally legally bound to not disclose your name. So you can always find comfort and solace in that if I make a report, I'm not going to get retaliated against because we don't disclose who made the allegation or who made the call. But you have to say something because, again, abuse is everyone's business. So everyone has to report when they see something. Yeah.
Everybody in the state, anybody over the age of 18 in the state of Texas is a mandatory reporter. So, like you said, it's everybody's business. Every adult's a business.
So it's one of those things, okay, I see, a lady out on the, with her daughter, and it's an older mom, and she looks like she's pretty ragged. The daughter's nicely dressed, hose heels, all that stuff. And I call, and they find out, well, no, Mama just wants to dress like an old hippie because she was back in Woodstock and whatever. I mean, what happens? So I've reported, okay, and because Mama looks like she's been abused by the daughter, and you find out there's nothing. Then what happens? Do you keep a file? Do you say it's
actually
closed?
Get a notification? Okay. So once you're making your report with the statewide intake, they have a question like, hey, do you want to follow up on this report? And you can say yes, and they'll get your information and they'll send you a letter like, hey, this was investigated, we looked into it, and these were the findings. Either there was something going on and we took care of it, or no findings was found and everyone's okay.
Okay. Because I mean, I know some people, even like animal hoarding, which I've been accused of doing that because I love my cats and my dog. But, if the person has a bunch of cats and somebody's like, well, that's just not right. But they go in and the person's fine and the house isn't messy and they just are a crazy cat lady. I mean, that's just, you just write that off as okay. Everything's good. They just have that quirk that they like cats. Okay.
We had an instance a couple of years back. Somebody reported that there was a lady, I think it was out here actually, where she just had a bunch of cats in her house. But it kind of found out it was like a hoarding situation of animals. So they had to come out and work with a local animal control to kind of get the animals out, because they said somebody came in and was trying to help them out, but it didn't work out. Yeah.
What's the number?
There is no particular number. He's just likes giving me grief. Anyway, okay, so what is a way? Okay, let's go to your website here. Okay, this is the Family and Protective Services. So I'm here on the main page. Let's see, main page. All right. So where am I going to report? I'm going to kill.
It's going to be actually TexasAbuseHotline.com.
Oh, okay. Well, let me pull that up then. I'm on the wrong thing. So Texas Abuse Hotline. There we are. Okay. So there's actually the hotline, which we will link in the description at the bottom, so that everybody has it. I'm going to open this in a new tab here. All right, Texas. Okay, here we go.
So you'll go ahead and report, create an account.
Okay.
And then you will go in and fill it. It'll be like a series of questions. What's the person's names? What's their age? What's their address, if you have it? And then you give a brief rundown of like the who, what, when, where of what's going on, but give as much details as possible that would help the investigator come out.
And they have questions like here, when do I call the hotline instead of using the website? Serious injuries. Okay, so pretty much this is, I'm not sure if I need to report. I can go here and get most of my questions answered.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's the thing is if it sounds terrible, and I hate to continue saying it, but people are afraid these days. And so that's the thing is they can go here, they can look at it, and they don't have to actually call you. Because it's that old thing, when I call you and I say, hi, I want to report, you're like, okay, let me keep you on the line, let me get the information. But if I can go here, I can maybe satisfy what I need to do.
Anonymity.
Yes.
That, I'm behind a keyboard so that.
Right. And okay, now let me ask you this, having done that, do you have, and I know it happens, but like for you two personally, have you had retaliatory reports like mom and dad are getting a divorce, dad reports and says mom's, beating the kids and only feeding them dog food so that he can make himself look good, or vice versa?
That's a lot, yeah.
But the thing about it is, if they get the report and they go out, they're definitely going to be like, that's not happening. And it's going to be notated. And the thing is, per the new bill, can't think of the bill off the top of my head, but with Child Protective Services, now that you have to say who you are as a reporter. Now, we're not going to disclose who you are as a reporter, but if grandma or dad is calling in on mom because there's a family disagreement there, if I see grandma has made 17 calls in the last 2 months saying the same thing and they've all been closed out as, no findings found, no findings found, no findings found. Now that gives ground to like, okay, now that's being malicious in your intent. And then you can be prosecuted for that. Well, because again, you're showing a history of this is what's going on.
Well, and you're wasting resources.
Right.
Taking them away from adults and children who desperately need it. Okay. All right. Well, good. So we've got that. Okay. And there are several times during the month. Hey, let me go back to my pretty little PowerPoint I made here. That was reporting. Let me get my little thing. I gotta have my little picture there. Okay, so there are months. They have a child abuse month in April.
Yes,
I'm correct. And elder abuse is in June, and then there's another financial exploitation awareness in October.
In November, we also have the Stand With Me as well. Stand With Me we'll start by Bishop Blake. And he simply asked his congregation, who will stand with us? And it's asking the churches, will you stand with us in prayer? Would you stand with us in foster? Would you stand with us and do donations and drive? Will you stand with us to help those children in care? And how will you stand with us? So that's one of our big pushes in November that we have as well.
Now, does that go for the adults as well?
That is mostly just on the CPS for October. Ours is just June, Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and then October is our Financial Exploitation Awareness Month.
Okay, now the financial exploitation, talk about sending somebody into space. A lovely lady that I know this month got taken advantage of, $11,000 worth. And sadly it was scammers, but I didn't realize that you said it's mostly, or not mostly, a lot of times it's family. What do they do? Do they say, Mama, here, sign this paper so that if...
They get they do like legal, sometimes a lot of time it's legal. They'll get the POA, they'll become the power of attorney, they'll have access to all their accounts. And some of the time they just know, okay, I'm going to get this inheritance, so I might as well take it now. So they start siphoning out money from their parents' funds. Or sometimes we had a case where it was a niece. She came in. She said, I'm going to take care of you because the lady didn't have children. Now I'm going to come take care of you. And the aunt gave her card. So, okay, go get groceries for the house. Go get some gas for the car. Oh, you can get yourself a little something. Well, she was going on vacation. She was buying Amazon purchases. She was making Shein orders. It was just kind of crazy. They just kind of helped themselves. On that, like the family member will give them an inch and they take a whole mile when it comes to finance.
That's so distressing because, I love my parents so much. I would not do anything in the entire world to hurt them. And I can't imagine. But, okay, so you talked about the churches and stuff and the schools and stuff. What are, if we have somebody watching that is, a PTA mom or a pastor or something, how would they help? They said, well, it's a state thing. But surely there are ways that they can help.
It's an everyone thing. Okay. Because even with adults and children, it takes a village. Because it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to help the elderly. We have to work in partnership with this. So if the church wants to get involved, it's like, hey, you can provide respite care, or you can do your drives to donate to our rainbow rooms or our silver star rooms if you want to do that in that way. Or if you want to actually become a foster parent, get involved and do a foster ministry. Or even if you want to be like, hey, we're not ready to foster, but we want to help them. So we want to go in and maybe cook them a meal or go in and help with laundry. They can do that as well if they want to go in and help that way. And with our Child Abuse Awareness Month in April, we encourage everybody to put on blue. So just to show that you're standing with us, or if you want to do a walk or organize something to just bring awareness so that it's a preventative measures that, again, it's everyone's business and everyone needs to get involved.
I was just saying, you talk about there's several things for the kids. I guess the elders kind of
don't get as much love.
I was going to say it's kind of, everybody needs to be taken care of, but that's the thing. So there we go. Somebody who's looking to do something, maybe jump with the elderly, but you talked about cooking meals, and that would be something I would think that, you could get together, because I know there's Meals on Wheels, which we actually did a, podcast on, but sometimes people were embarrassed or whatever, but you could.
If your elderly neighbor is at the house by themselves, you can just take it upon yourself to, hey, make them a meal, take it over to sit with them. A lot of our seniors are lonely. Yeah. So that's how a lot of them fall into the financial exploitation, because they're lonely. Someone picked up the phone, they took time out to talk to them, and then they fall into that because it filled in that loneliness gap. So just keep an eye out for your senior neighbors. Let them know, hey, there's somebody here for you. Just kind of be a shoulder to lean on if they need it.
I saw the sweetest video the other day. I won't go too much into it, but it was a lady, and she came over, she was complaining to the neighbor saying, your lights are on and it bothers me. And he said, honey, you're lonely. He said, why don't you come back in the daytime? He said, come over. He said, we'll put some, burgers on the grill and you visit with me. And I thought, how wonderful of him. Instead of being mean to her, he realized she was lonely. And this was the way that she had a reason to come talk to him. It was a younger man. And so to come complain about his lights, that was the way that he did. And I thought, that's pretty nifty.
And once you get talking to some seniors, they'll tell you their whole life story, and sometimes it's really good stories too.
Yes. So my husband's a hospice nurse, and he talked to a gentleman who had at one time been a rum runner, and like back in the still days and stuff. I said, wow, that's pretty good. So he enjoyed that. Okay. Now you talk about helping and stuff. There is a thing. It's called the rainbow room for the kids and the silver room for the adults. Yeah. All right. Tell me about those.
So it kind of acts like a 24-hour store for our workers. So if they get a call and it's kind of a situation where that elderly person, maybe they don't have enough money to take care of like their low needs, like toiletries, the caseworkers can go to that room, pick up items. So like deodorant, lotion, body wash, soap, sometimes clothes, adult diapers if they need it, and give it to that person to help them out in the in-between as we're helping them, and then how we can connect them to services. So it kind of acts like an emergency shopping for caseworkers and clients.
Wonderful. Okay.
Same with the rainbow room. It's for emergency purposes, and it's used to stabilize that family in that moment. So there's different service levels within the case. So let's say they're in investigations, and in order to stabilize this family, all they need is groceries and diapers. That caseworker can go into the rainbow room, grab groceries, grab diapers, take it to that family. So now that child gets to stay in care. Or if it's one of those major emergency situations where that child has to be removed and it's 3:00 in the morning, unfortunately, Walmart's not open at 3 in the morning anymore. So if you're calling the foster family like, hey, we have a kiddo on the way. Okay, we weren't expecting the kid. We don't have formula or wipes or anything. That caseworker can go into the rainbow room, get formula, get bottles, get a diaper bag, get a couple of outfits, get all they need to start the night out with until Walmart opens in the next morning and they can actually go get the things that that child need. So that's why we love the Rainbow Room. And the Austin County Rainbow Room is right here at the Hacienda, the 602 Hacienda.
Okay.
At the DFPS office. So if you want to contribute, you can go by there. Just know that all items have to be new and unused. We're going to stress that. If not, you're cleaning out your garage. It's like, oh, a baby would look good. And my daughter's 1972.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get you. Tell me the stuff. So let me get up here.
East Hacienda. Yeah.
602?
Yeah.
602 East Hacienda Street, Oval, Texas. All right. Human Protective Services. Yes. Oh, nope. Let me go back.
Yep, that's the office.
All right, so there we go, and we'll link that as well too. Yeah, what is it next to?
I don't think there's anything next to it.
No, look, it appears to be it's a standalone.
Yeah. Okay, so you need to specifically want to go to it.
Yeah, yeah, you're not going to stumble upon it. Okay, all right, so let's
one more time. You got me curious.
Okay, here's the map.
It's right around a corner from the, or no, it's right as the answer.
Oh, that's Concordia Hall.
Concordia Hall. Yes.
It's 3 out off Tash Street. So you're, yeah.
I never knew that building. Okay.
Yeah, look, here's Ranch Cume Trailers.
Okay.
All right, so here's French Street. All right, you go down. Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. All right, so some of the things that we need, obviously, are if somebody's going to the dollar store, they can get, the big thing is stuff like wipes,
hygiene products, and there's a Silver Star room there as well, so you can donate to both of those.
Right.
So wipes, diapers, hygiene products are very big. Need those. Or if you they have the little clearance section, you want to get like 2 or 3 of the little dollar outfits when they're going out of season. Okay. Clothes are really big because families need clothes, especially when there's multiple kids in the household, and we all know kids grow at an exponential rate. That's the chicken.
Yes, they do.
So we're always looking for clothes. Is one of the big things. But again, as long as it's new and unused, we're always willing to take it. The bigger items are like the car seats and pack and plays, but those are typically on special need case by case. But just having those emergency items there that they need.
I was gonna say, but that would be good. Like if you have civic groups that are looking or even the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts that are looking to do their service projects, they could say, hey, we're going to stock the silver room today. And then,
or even if they want to build beds, like sometimes those are the other insecurities. Like you have a grandma who wants to take in the kiddo, but there's nowhere for the kid to sleep.
That's true.
So if they want to do their civic project and they want to build a bed for a family, they can do something like that. Like we're always looking for any and all resources. Like anything you need on a day-to-day basis, they would as well.
And do you accept monetary donations as well?
For APS, it usually goes to our Region 6 Advisory Board. So because we can't take on money as a state entity, but it usually goes to the board. So we have we only have one right now in Region 6. It's the Region 6 Advisory Board. They can make donations to them. I can send you the email address later. And I think you guys, Austin County
does have a child welfare board. So if you want to make monetary donations to the child welfare board, you can send them directly to the Austin County board. That board, it tiers requests. Like, let's say you have a kiddo that wants to do online classes because of, X, Y, and Z, and the parent can't afford it. They can request from the board to be like, hey, can you help us with these online classes? And the board can then write the checks to the parent so that the child can do online classes. Or we had one recently where kiddos were removed from the home and they requested that they do equestrian therapy. They can put a request in for that and things like that. So if you want to make a monetary donation, the Austin County Child Welfare Board is the place to go. And there is a website, I didn't send it to you, for the Texas Child Welfare Board for Region 6. Because that's what this is considered as Region 6.
Welfare. It's Child Welfare Board. There it is. And we're Region what?
6.
Everything was Region 5 where I used to live. So this is 6. Okay.
And so there's all your contact information you can click on Austin County.
And again, we will get that linked. I mean, they can see it here, but we'll get it linked at the end.
All right. So it has our Rainbow Room coordinators on it.
It's an interactive map up top.
Well, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there, Austin County's it has your chair and her contact.
Got excited, Jen. Let me finish. All the way down.
And you can donate your rainbow rooms.
Oh, look, and here's your list.
Mm-hmm.
Aha. We will have that linked as well. Because we are not just Austin County. We go, into Houston and things like that. And so these people will need to know that.
So all of Region 6 is considered Harris County because it's the big boy county and the 12 surrounding counties. So as far as Waller, as far down as Galveston, all the way out to Columbus, to the Chambers, Liberty, everything in between. We cover all of that.
All right, look, here's all your different days. So we have a little bit of everything here. Look, Greg, it's in Austin. That's what you were going to ask, was a map. Okay, because I'm going to be honest. I tell everybody who comes who talks about donating, I am the kind, I want to know that it goes from my hand to the person who needs it. And so I tend to actually donate items so that I know that I take it from my hand to put it in your hand and it goes to a child, So but if people want to just donate monetarily, that it can go wherever.
And if you want to serve the Rainbow Room, we're open. I have my contact information listed below. If your groups want to get together to actually see the Rainbow Room and see what it's doing, we can actually schedule a tour for the Rainbow Room.
We may come out there with our little portable camera and visit y'all.
All right.
And you silver room too?
With your, how to get ours working. It's still in a work in progress, but I don't know if we're tour ready yet. But
we can just peek our head in there and be like, work in progress. How would that be? All right. So we talked about the needed areas, civic groups. Okay. Let's see. Let me go through here. We've gone through all our good questions here. All right. So pretty much we're at the end. Is there anything that you really want to say? Because we're actually, folks are going to find out we're actually going to interview you ladies separately. So we'll have separate things. But is there anything you want to throw at us as a together? Other than donate, report child abuse, report elder abuse.
It's everybody's business kind of thing. Because if one kid suffers, and they're kind of in a abusive situation, it can lead to another kid. Or if an elderly person is suffering, and it kind of snowballs sometimes depending on the situation. Like if they're a hoarding situation in an apartment, their next door neighbor might end up getting the bugs coming from that hoarding situation.
Yes.
So it's in everybody's business. It doesn't hurt to report. If you suspect it, say something or make a report. Yeah.
I was going to say, I actually did have one more thing I wanted to ask. Okay. Say I notice grandma, looks bad and I report it and you go in there, the elder care goes in and they notice baby in the other room that is dirty and has a bottle that has, green milk in it. What do they do? Do you take care of it? Do they call you in? Or you
tag team, actually.
Tag team? Okay.
Yeah, so Child Protective Services will go in and take care of all the child's needs and make sure that the child's placed and that the child's fine. And then Adult Protective Services will come in I work for Child Protective Services now, but I was a adult protectives caseworker before, and we had a joint case where grandma was bedbound and the daughter left her home with the 3 children, ages like 1, 3, and 7, that was infested with bed bugs. And we had to come in and remove everyone because grandma was ate up, baby was ate up, kids hadn't eaten, there's limited to no food in the home. And so AP, Adult Protective Services, and Child Protective Services both had to go in and work in conjunction to get everyone removed from the house, because the thing about it with children is we petition the courts and we get the child removed. It's no negotiations. If this is a bad situation, the child's going to be removed. But with Adult Protective Services, they have the right to refuse care even if they're in a bad situation, as long as they're deemed competent. They're deemed competent, they can stay in that situation if they choose to. So we have to work in conjunction with each other to, they have to do their due process as well as do ours. But we do work together to make sure everybody's stabilized and has all the things that they need.
I don't know. Like I said, I love my parents so much. I can't imagine ever.
You see all kinds of things with folks, and you're like, isn't that your parents, your grandma, your great grandma? You don't want to take care of them.
But like you said, I think some of them take them for the money. They do the check. Mm-hmm. And that's not good. Anyway, all right. Well, ladies, I greatly appreciate you coming. It was lovely to have you. Thanks for having us, Marcia and Eunice. Yes. And we appreciate you. And also, County, that's it for today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel so we continue to get the word out for all those important things happening in Austin County. And until next time, keep smiling.